All right, Allana, we're halfway through the ICT4D conference. How's it been? But before you answer that, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Allana Welch. I am a director with Access Partnership. We are a boutique tech consulting firm, and we support governments and multilateral institutions on their digital transformation journeys. Prior to this, I was with USAID, where I led the implementation of USAID's digital strategy. I helped to architect the digital policy before we obviously lost the agency. So I've been in this space for a while, and this conference in particular is very near and dear to my heart.
Yes, I even remember you leading the Principles for Digital Development back in the day.
I did, yes. I was just joking before the camera went on that we are the grandmas of ICT4D. So there you go.
Yeah. So you've been around for a while. You know a lot of people. Tell me, what's being talked about in the hallways at lunches, not on the stages here?
Sure. I think everyone is really thinking about how to see this moment in digital development as an opportunity. And we are trying to figure out how to move from the older model of doing a whole lot of work to doing a few things really well. And that's been what I've been hearing. And people are really energized by the opportunities to dive more deeply, to lean in more into locally led development, to have new voices in the room, particularly around decision making. And that's been very cool to hear. And kind of thinking about what this new landscape looks like amidst those challenges, that there's still so many people that are positive, that have that optimistic view. It's been very heartening to hear.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. Maybe we're kind of going past the doom and gloom thinking into trying to look forward. Is there anything that's like really surprised you that someone said or really kind of made you pause?
Yeah. So there's been a lot around changing the model from donor-directed work to more locally owned direction of work, and whose voices previously had not been heard. And, I heard that really as an upside on the first day, but then it continues to be echoed. And I noticed there's a lot of new people in the room that I hadn't met before, or new organizations represented, new actors, particularly from the private sector, that are stepping into this space that weren't here before. And so that's been really interesting. And so I'm very curious to see kind of over time how those partnerships start to emerge, and where locally led development meets the opportunities with new funders, new actors in the space.
What are some of the challenges you potentially see kind of in that emerging model?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very early days, I recognize that.
I think that a lot of us are still grappling with, we have a lot of ambition, right? The demands didn't go away just because the funding environment changed. So how do we continue to tackle those big, hairy, entrenched issues in society without the same funding to do so? And that, I think, is going to be a problem we're going to continue to deal with for a while. But as I mentioned, seeing private sector here with some groups that hadn't been represented in this space before, I think means that there's new opportunities to bring funding in. I think it's always going to come back to, like, how are we funding these projects, and then how are we sustaining it? Because particularly DPI, huge topic of conversation at this conference. A lot of DPI is the engines are open source models. Well, there's still a real challenge around how do we continue to sustain open source products? How do we make sure that not just funding is there to make sure our engineers are able to continue to maintain those products at a global scale, but that local implementations are able to feed back modifications to source code, that sort of thing. That I think is going to be a challenge over time. And, like, what does sustainability look like in that sense? So lots of hairy issues. There will continue to be a need for ICT4D conference in the future to continue to talk about it as a community. But I think I'm walking away from this conference feeling like, despite what happened last year, everyone here is still very committed to the mission. They're still showing up every day for the communities that they serve. And we're all still committed to figuring out how to make this work.
Wonderful. I think we'll leave it there. Wonderful last words.
Before I cry.
Thank you so much, Allana.
Thank you,
and
Nora.
Have a wonderful rest of your conference.
Thanks.